Hey, what's up everyone? Greg's Gauntlet here, and with WWDC coming this Monday, I wanted to do a quick video on all the hardware leaks and all the hardware announcements we can expect for the Worldwide Developers Conference this Monday. Now, normally Apple doesn't really announce too much hardware on, WWDC, but they haven't had a spring event this year where they normally announce some new products, like the iPads that are supposed to come out. So I think they've been saving that for the Worldwide Developers Conference. I actually think on Monday we're going to have an event with a whole bunch of new hardware and some software features. Now, there haven't been that many software leaks with iOS 11, macOS 10.13. There's been rumors of a dark mode for iOS 11, group time, FaceTime calling, maybe a new revamped iTunes, a standalone Apple Music app on the Mac. But there really haven't been that much software announcements. So I'm going to actually not really discuss too much of those. I want to go into the hardware announcements where there actually have been a lot of leaks. So let's go ahead and start with the Mac. Now, the first rumor is that Apple is going to announce some new MacBook Pros. These will be minor revisions from, the recent MacBook Pros we've gotten with the Touch Bar. Don't expect any major redesign. I still think it's going to have, a MacBook Pro model with the Touch Bar and a MacBook Pro model without the Touch Bar. But what we can expect to see is a upgrade to Kaby Lake in the chipset. So you'll see a minor spec bump there. But we should also see something that Apple was rumored to have ready in time for last year's MacBook Pros, but they couldn't quite get the battery engineering down. And this was actually happening around the time where the Galaxy Note 7 was blowing up. So Apple really didn't want to go with this aggressive battery technology where they actually stack the batteries on top of one another. That's rumored to actually be in the new MacBook Pro models for the 13-inch and 15-inch. So we might see that technology go in to these new laptops, and you might see, an improvement of battery life very significantly with the, reduced power consumption of Kaby Lake chips and this new battery stack technology. You might see very big improvements on the battery life, especially considering the last MacBook Pro models that came out, like 6 months ago. They had very poor battery life in a lot of the reviews, especially if you're using, intensive applications and using Chrome. So you'll definitely see some improved battery life if that technology comes to fruition. Now, we are also expected to see some upgraded MacBook models for the 12-inch MacBook. Don't expect to see anything revolutionary there, just a minor processor bump to the latest Kaby Lake processors. I still think it's going to be, kind of an underpowered machine, especially for pros. But for the everyday people, maybe we'll see a spec bump, maybe some more RAM inside of it. The only thing I could think of that would be really amazing is if they could somehow drop that price down to, $1,000 instead of $1,300, and then they'd have something to compete, with these Ultrabooks like the Surface laptop at that price point. Now, if they don't get that MacBook to that, $999 price point, there is also rumor that they will revamp the MacBook Air. A lot of people are saying that, this revamp of the MacBook Air is just going to be a processor bump into Kaby Lake, maybe the addition of USB-C ports, but that we shouldn't expect to see a Retina display on this MacBook Air. I'm going to go on a limb here and say that if we do see an updated MacBook Air and it does have a higher resolution display and the addition of USB-C ports, I do think Apple could be working on it with the recent announcement from Microsoft with the Surface laptop. Again, if that MacBook price doesn't get down to, below $1,000, we could see a, revamp spec bump wise with the MacBook Air. But I also think Apple might do a slight redesign where they add USB-C ports and a higher resolution screen. Another option, and this could be what the revamped MacBook Air will be, is you notice that Apple released a 13-inch MacBook Air without the Touch Bar last year. We could see a price drop on that to bring it to, around $1,000, and that would compete directly with things like the Surface laptop. And, the 13-inch MacBook Air is actually, weighs the same and is thinner than a MacBook Air. So it weighs 3 pounds, it's thinner than a MacBook Air. If they can get that price point to around $1,000, then we could see the MacBook Air go away. That 13-inch MacBook Air maybe could be rebranded as the MacBook Air, maybe just be called the MacBook, and the 12-inch MacBook could become, something else, MacBook Air, MacBook Lite. And we could see, this whole new lower class laptop, 2 USB-C ports, that Retina display, but a 13-inch form factor without the Touch Bar. Now, speaking of price drops, I do think for the 13-inch and 15-inch touch bar models, we will see a price drop. I think the current model runs around $17.99. I would expect to see that 13-inch model come down to $14.99, to be a little more competitive and compete on price. So now from the Mac, let's go ahead and shift over to new iPads. There's been rumors that Apple is going to debut a new 10.5-inch iPad Pro. It's going to have a very similar form factor to the 9.7-inch iPad, but they're going to reduce some of the bezels around this iPad to increase the screen to 10.5 inches. There's been a couple case leaks. There's been tons of reporting that Apple is having production of this 10.5-inch iPad Pro. It's actually been rumored, for a couple months now that they will be debuting this new iPad. So aside from this, 10.5-inch form factor, they're going to be upgrading the 12.9-inch iPad as well. They're going to both have, A11 X processors, 4 gigabytes of RAM, True Tone LCD displays, upgraded cameras to 12 megapixels on both the 12.9-inch and the 10.5-inch iPad Pro. The iPad Pro will not be moving to an OLED display like the rumored iPhone 8. It will still keep that LCD display. Some of the features that this iPad Pro is rumored to have is enhanced multitasking features, better support for multitasking, better desktop support. I think we could see some pro apps made from Apple. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Final Cut Pro or some sort of video editing app, specifically dedicated for the iPad Pro. We might also see a redesigned Apple Pencil. The current Apple Pencil is very good, but we might see a redesign in that pencil, maybe to include an eraser, maybe to include a magnet that could attach to the iPad Pro, kind of like the Surface does, or maybe just some, advanced features, an eraser, better, sensitivity, maybe some pressure sensitivity that could, maybe do 3D touch with the iPad Pro. I think we can expect similar price points for these iPad Pros too. I think it'll launch at $599 for a 32 gigabyte version, and then, go up to all the way to like $999 for a 256 12.9-inch iPad Pro. But, I think the major focus here is going to be on the iOS 11 software, taking advantage of, this extra screen real estate on iPad Pro, and especially giving us more desktop class applications, and a whole new focus on using your iPad Pro as a replacement for an actual computer. I think we're going to see iOS 11 kind of diverge. We're going to see an iOS 11 more specified for iPad, and an iOS 11 on the other side that goes for the iPhone direction. I think we're actually going to see some differences where the bigger screen allows you to do different tasks. They're not just big phone apps, which Apple has criticized in the past, that Android tablets have made, you go on an Android tablet, you launch an app, and it's just like this big phone app. iPads have kind of become that way. There are a lot of good apps that take advantage of the iPad's big screen, but I really think Apple's going to focus on iPad Pro as a replacement for a computer, get in some really powerful apps in there, and give us better multitasking and more creative things that we can do with our iPad Pros. So the third and final hardware announcement I think we can expect at WWDC will be this long-rumored Siri Speaker. Bloomberg reports that the Siri Speaker is now officially entering production. It will debut at WWDC. I think for the Siri Speaker, we're going to see an improved Siri, number one. They have to improve Siri to take on, the Amazon Echo and the Google Home. I think it will, probably enter in around a price point of $299. I think it'll be priced a little more premium than the Google Home or the Amazon Echo. I think the Google Home is $129 and the Amazon Echo is, you can usually get one for $189, or you can get, an Echo Dot for as low as $49. So Apple is going to focus on sound with this. It's going to be, mainly used as a device that plays Apple Music. They know that. It's going to have one subwoofer and 7 tweeters, so we can expect some pretty good sound coming out of this speaker. Because it's premium priced, we can really expect some good sound coming out of it. I don't expect there to be a screen in the speaker like the Amazon Show. I think that, the Siri inside the speaker will actually be able to communicate very well with your iPhone, your Mac, your iPad. Say you ask it a question like, what's the weather? And then actually, I believe it will kind of push that over to your iPhone, to your Mac, to your iPad to give you a more detailed answer. Of course, it's going to answer, it's going to say it's 78 degrees, you can expect rain, but maybe it'll push open like a graphic on your iPhone, and then you go over to your iPhone and you see that, you kind of push up on the iPhone, you can see what you just asked the Siri speaker, and it'll give you more detailed information. So feature-wise with this Siri speaker, I believe Apple will try and stand out from the Amazon Echo and the Google Home by, tightly integrating this experience between your Mac, your iPhone, and your iPad, and doing things that, only by owning an iPhone you can do. So say if you have a Siri speaker, you can say, hey, S, call my mom, send a message to blah, 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 tell him, this. It's going to integrate the applications you have in your phone to make calls, to play Apple Music, to send messages, to better tightly integrate with your iCalendar. It's just going to be a very tight experience with that. Same could be said maybe for Apple TV. Maybe you could tell it you want to open an app on your Apple TV, you want to watch something, you want to use AirPlay. It's just going to be very tightly integrated with Apple's services. I believe it will also support the W1 chip found on the AirPods, so it'll be very easy to pair to Bluetooth. So it'll be, this music device that if you have an iPhone or an iPad or a Mac, you can just, sync it up very easily with your W1 chip, and you'll get really good range and really good sound quality out of that Bluetooth speaker. I would also expect a focus on it being a home hub. So say you have Philips Hue lights or any of these other smart devices. The Siri speaker will obviously be at your home. So like the Apple TV or like an iPad, you can set it up to control your lights when you are away from your house. So I expect the Siri speaker to have that feature in it. I think a big selling point here for Apple as well is that they are a company that's focused on privacy. They're not going to sell your information like Google. So, a lot of people with the Google Home and even the Amazon Echo, they're very scared about privacy. They don't want these companies selling their information. They're not sure, are they keeping these giant audio logs? There's been police investigations into the Amazon Echo. So I think Apple will go on stage when they announce this speaker. They'll have privacy out there. They're going to say, we're not going to show the police your audio logs. We're not going to sell your information to advertisers to target ads on you, from whatever you say within your home. Okay, and I think that does it for all the hardware leaks I expect to see at the Worldwide Developers Conference this Monday. If you think Apple's going to announce something different, let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you'd like to see Apple announce at the Worldwide Developers Conference, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.